Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Boulanger, and up next on the GM is Lamar Jackson, the MVP. Do me a quick favor, hit like. If it is your first time checking out the GM, hit subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's talk about it. So, is Lamar Jackson the MVP? Let me start out by giving an emphatic yes. He is the MVP for the 2023 season. Now, let me be honest. I was one who did not think Lamar Jackson would win the MVP. And then even in the middle of the season, I didn't think he could really get into the MVP race because I didn't think he would have the numbers. Because typically the MVP goes to a quarterback. I know running backs have won it, but it typically goes to a quarterback who has the best numbers as long as his team is winning. And I thought that quarterback would be Tua from the beginning of the year since he had amazing numbers over his first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. But this year has kind of turned out to be a little to a lot different, where numbers are considered, but impact is being looked at even more. And so, is Lamar Jackson the MVP? Yes. I believe he's the MVP for these three reasons. Number one, I think Lamar Jackson is still doing more with less. Now, let me be very, very clear. I do believe that the Baltimore Ravens did improve his receiving corps. I do believe that. But the fact of the matter is, he has lost pieces to his puzzle continually through this season. Some of his wide receivers have been in and out. I know Odell has missed a couple of games. Bateman has missed a couple of games. And then a couple of times, even when they were active, they were MIA in the game. He lost his number one running back in J.K. Dobbins a long time ago in this season, and then he turned around and lost his favorite target in Mark Andrews. Okay, so when you talk about doing more with less, you got to consider he still has the Baltimore Ravens sitting at the top of the AFC, at the top of the AFC North with a 13-3 record, which is the best record in the entire league by, I think, 2 games. And so when you look at all that he's lost, all that he's played without, and he still has his team winning, that is a sign of a most valuable player. All right. Reason number two, I think that Lamar Jackson is the MVP is he has better numbers in totality this season than his 2019 season. You've heard consistently a lot of people want to compare his touchdown numbers only. 36 touchdowns passing in 2019 to 2023, having 24 touchdowns. And so a lot of people saying he's having a less of a year. But when you take his total season into context, okay, Lamar Jackson, his MVP season had a little over 3,100 yards passing and 1,200 yards rushing. When you put those numbers together, he has 43-ish yards in total, right? This year, he has 3,600 or a little over 3,600 yards passing and 821 yards rushing. When you put those numbers together, he's knocking on 4,500 total yards. So when you look at it in that context, he has better numbers this year than he had that year, even if he doesn't have the the uh, the touchdowns. And this year he has a running back who has 12 or 13 rushing touchdowns, which means he's getting into the end zone near or at the goal line, where he did not have that in 2019. So that is taking away some of those touchdown numbers as well. So when you look at the whole thing in totality, he's actually having a better season this year, and he's a little better passer in the context of completion percentage this year than in 2019. And also he's passing the ball more this year than in 2019. So passing the ball more and having a higher completion percentage would still speak to having a better year. And so I need people like Richard Sherman and those other guys who are on the fence if he's the MVP, or just flat out saying no, he's not the MVP, or even saying something silly like they should split the MVP. I need those guys to pipe down, because they're making an argument that's not accurate when they say he had a better 2019 than he has this year. Okay. And then the third reason I think that Lamar Jackson is the MVP is what he did, how he performed against top level competition. When the Detroit Lions came and they were flying high, we bust him up. Okay. We did. We busted up the Detroit Lions. When when it was time to play, what was that other team that was flying high? Um, I can't remember. We beat the Cincinnati Bengals before they got right and after they got right, beat them both times. So we swept the Cincinnati Bengals. We split with a really good team in the Cleveland Browns. And then when it came time to face off against the best team in the league, according to everybody, except for me, when it came to face off against the 49ers, bust them up. When it came to face off against a high-powered offense and second best team supposedly in the AFC, we bust them up. So anytime he faced good to great competition, he shined facing good to great competition. And let me highlight something in the last two games specifically. When Lamar Jackson faced off against the San Francisco 49ers, he faced off against a really good defense, but he also had to outperform. He had to outperform two MVP candidates in Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. See, most people don't even take that into consideration. Brock Purdy was supposedly the number one MVP candidate at that time, and Christian McCaffrey was right there at number three. So here is Lamar facing off. Of course, he didn't have to face them directly, but he had to lead his offense against a team who had an offense led by two MVP candidates and outshined both of them. Let's flip it to this past week. Again, here we are with the Miami Dolphins, who have two MVP candidates. Tua was kind of in that number 4 to 5 spot as an MVP candidate, and then Tyreek Hill was kind of in that number 3 to 4 spot, simply because Brock Purdy had fell so far and outperformed them as well. Again, he didn't face them directly, but he had to outperform them both, and he did outperform them both. So when you take those things into context, who he faced, how he performed when he faced those teams, and then who he had to outperform in those games, I think is a hands down, no question, that Lamar Jackson is the MVP. You guys let me know if anything that I missed. Let me know what you guys want me to know. Do you guys believe Lamar Jackson is the MVP, or is there another? I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM. Oh, by the way, this conversation will continue because I got some content coming about the quarterback you trust the most, a topic that First Take kind of fumbled over a couple of hours ago, and I want to bring that to you guys for conversation purposes. I'm out.